Welcome to another edition of the Sundown series where today we will be highlighting Marlow, Oklahoma. Marlow is a city in Stevens County, Oklahoma, United States. The population was 4,662 at the 2010 census. Born along with the Chisholm Trail and on the banks of the Wild Horse Creek, the legend of the Marlow family and the five Marlow brothers has been proven to be more fact than fiction. Dr. Williamson Marlow and his wife Martha Jane, a relative of Daniel Boone, first established a homestead in this area during the early 1880s. The site of the original Marlow family home is reported to have been located just north of the Red Bud Park. Somewhat of a nomad by nature, Dr. Marlow provided medical treatment to the many settlers in this portion of Indian Territory and to many cowboys driving cattle up the Chisholm Trail. He also farmed while his sons reportedly herded horses, selling many of the animals to the U.S. Army located at neighboring Fort Sill. Dr. Marlow died in 1885. In 1888, his five sons were accused of horse stealing, a charge which was later proven to be unfounded. Four of the brothers, Charlie, Alfred, Boone, and Llewellyn, were arrested and transported by a U.S. deputy marshal to the federal court in Graham, Texas for trial. Hearing of this brother's arrest, George Marlow took the entire family to Graham to clear his brothers, but soon found himself behind bars. Boone Marlow ultimately escaped and returned to the Marlow area in Indian Territory, while his four brothers were scheduled to be transported to an ostensibly safer jail in Weatherford, Texas. Several attempts were made by the Graham citizens and law enforcement officials to lynch the Marlows. On the night of January 19, 1889, the brothers were shackled in pairs, George to Llewellyn and Charlie to Alfred, for the trip to Weatherford. When the group reached the dry creek outside of Graham, a signal was given and a hidden mob opened fire on the seemingly defenseless Marlows. The guards ran to join the mob while the brothers leaped from the wagon and armed themselves with guns taken from guards. In the vicious gunfight that followed, Llewellyn and Alfred were killed. Both George and Charlie were seriously wounded. Retrieving a dead mob member's knife, George Marlow anointed his dead brother's ankles, and he and Charlie used the wagon to escape the ambush site. 3 members of the mob were also killed and a number of others wounded. Several members of the mob were later prosecuted and convicted for the assault upon the brothers. Boone was later poisoned near Hell Creek, west of Harlow. His corpse was then shot in an attempt to obtain a $1,500 reward, but his killers too were brought to trial. Alfred, Boone, and Llewellyn are buried in a small cemetery at what was once Finis, Texas, outside of Graham. George and Charlie Marlow survived the attack, eventually moving their families to Colorado, where they became outstanding citizens serving as law enforcement officers. In 1891, after sentencing mob members for their part in the attack, federal judge A.P. McCormick was quoted as saying, "This is the first time in the annals of history where unarmed prisoners shackled together were ever repelled a mob. Such cool courage that preferred to fight against such great odds and die, if at all, in glorious battle, rather than die ignominiously," I probably butchered that word, "by a frenzied mob, deserves to be commemorated in song and story." Their population dropped since 2010 from 4,662 to 4,420, which was a 5.2% drop. The population there, or the demographics there, is 87.2% white, 0.2% black, 5.2% Native American, 0.2% Asian, 1.6% from other races, and 5.6% from 2 or more races. Hispanic or Latinos were 4.4% of the population, having doubled since 2000. So that's pretty much it, all I have on this particular town right here. Again, like y'all already know, if y'all have any more additional information about this town, let me know down in the comments. This concludes this edition of the Sundown series for Marlow, Oklahoma.